Hi everyone, and welcome back. Today I'm taking a look at my 2025 CFMOTO U10 Pro Highland after I just put over 3,000 kilometers on it, or about 1,800 miles. Unlike a lot of reviews on YouTube, this isn't a weekend test drive. I've spent the last 3,000 kilometers using this machine the way many users actually will, in deep snow, mud, water crossings, rocky trails, and long multi-day trips through Ontario and Newfoundland. If you're considering buying a new Highland, or maybe you found a low mileage used one, this video's for you. When I bought mine, it was roughly $10,000 less than the machines I was cross-shopping, yet it actually came with more features and a better warranty. That's what convinced me to take a chance on CFMOTO. One of the first changes I made was having the dealer install a set of 30 by 10 by 14 Maxxis Carnivore tires. Was it necessary? Nope. Would I recommend it? Absolutely. Besides giving the machine a much more aggressive look, the larger tires added a little bit of extra ground clearance. They're 8-ply, and they've performed extremely well in every type of terrain I put them through. I put roughly 2,000 kilometers on the Carnivore without a single flat tire, and I was especially impressed with how well they worked during the winter riding. Recently, I switched to a set of 30 by 10 by 14 Ronix Claw Trek tires. The tread pattern is very similar to the Carnivores, although the lugs are slightly taller. They're also 8-ply, they look fantastic on the machine, and after putting 1,000 kilometers, or roughly 600 miles on them, I have nothing negative to say about them. I'll continue putting more miles on them in the coming months, and I will definitely keep you up to date on how they're performing. And just so you know, I didn't have to adjust anything on the machine to make 30 by 10 by 14 tires fit on the Highland. I just had to put the tires on the rims, and that was it. One of the biggest reasons I bought the Highland was simple. I felt it offered more value for the money than anything else that I looked at. When I bought mine, CFMOTO was offering features that simply weren't available on competing HVAC models anywhere near the same price. Since then, other manufacturers have introduced more affordable HVAC machines as well, and that's actually good news for everyone. Competition pushes manufacturers to offer more features and better pricing. Even with those new competitors on the market, I still believe the Highland offers one of the best combinations of equipment, warranty, and overall value in this class. This machine includes a ton of standard features, and when you consider the price point, it's even more impressive. Every Highland comes standard with a very smooth 3-cylinder 88 horsepower engine, very bright LED headlights, LED taillights, and backup lights. It has an electric tip-up glass windshield, electric dump box, power windows, locking doors, 8-inch touchscreen infotainment system, 2-inch trailer hitch, a 7-pin trailer connector, 12-volt power outlet in the dash and the dump box, a USB-A and USB-C power connectors in the cab, and in Canada at least, they also include turn signals with an automotive-style handle that also includes the switch for the windshield wiper, washer, and the horn. I still feel the same as I did when I did the first review. I love the engine. It's been trouble-free, smooth, it's torquey, doesn't feel strained, and it makes me smile. Honestly, what more could I ask for? Most people probably won't max one of these machines out anyways, but in case you're curious, I did hit 109 kilometers an hour, or about 67 miles per hour, on a straight stretch of road. I think that's excellent, especially considering that this is a utility machine, not a sport utility machine. When it was new, I enjoyed the ride, and I still do. I adjusted the shock preload to the highest setting, and that helped a bit with the lean, but to me there's still a little bit too much of that. For the vast majority of my riding though, it's just fine. I have a friend that owns both a Highland and a Defender HD11, and he recently told me that he thinks his Highland actually rides a bit better than his Defender at low speeds over chop and rocks, things like that. I rode a Highland with Elka shocks, and to me it fixed the ride entirely. It still rides smoothly, and the body lean pretty much disappeared. So, for those of you willing to part with some extra cash to upgrade your ride, I think you'd probably like the Elka shocks. There is something I changed my mind about since the last review. I said if there was an Achilles heel of the Highland, it was the seats. I thought they were too upright, which made them a little uncomfortable for long day rides. Since then, I bought a bracket from Cubic Dollar Off-Road that tilts the upper and lower seats just a small amount, and really, it's made all the difference. It's an inexpensive fix. I was impressed with the workmanship, and it worked great to make the seats more comfortable on day-long rides. I recently drove 750 kilometers, or almost 500 miles on a trip in Ontario, and the seats worked great. I also bought a heat shield from the same company, and I was impressed with the quality and the ease of installation. Like I mentioned in my 1600 kilometer review, these things are considerably quieter than other types of side-by-sides that I've owned. I added stick-on insulation under the seats, and it made a noticeable difference in the noise and vibration. A friend of mine with the same machine also added insulation behind his seat on the back wall, and that made an even bigger improvement. I'll be doing that to my machine as well. If you like options for your 4x4 setup, the Highland provides several. You can drive this rear-wheel drive with the locking rear differential locked, or in turf mode with it unlocked, so it'll save your lawn or it'll save your components if you're driving on pavement and turning around. In four-wheel drive mode, you can run it with both differentials unlocked, with just the rear diff locked and the front unlocked, or both front and rear locked. I've only needed to lock both the front and the rear a few times. For the most part, I've gotten through almost everything with just regular 4x4 mode. I haven't had any issues with the push-button transmission. You have to be completely stopped before switching gears, which is probably a good thing for the long-term durability of the transmission. But personally, I miss not having a transmission lever. I like the tactile feel of one, and to me it's comforting to know I can easily pop the transmission into neutral if I have to, if the battery's dead and I don't happen to have a battery charger with me.
Well, probably one of the worst places to have a tree down, because the hill is so steep.
The park brake activates automatically when you put it in park, and that's come in handy a few times when I had to stop and get out of the machine on steep inclines. It's nice to know that it takes the pressure off the transmission. I haven't had a single issue with the park brake in 3,000 kilometers, but personally I'd like a manual one just in case the battery died and I didn't have a jumper with me. The touchscreen is nice to look at, and I'm disappointed that it doesn't have Android Auto as well as Apple CarPlay, but it still connects to my Samsung phone with Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, and it will show me Google Maps. I use a Samsung tablet as my GPS anyway. The large screen is easy to see at a glance when you're driving. I personally think the graphics on the screen are very nice, and nicer than other manufacturers out there. CFMOTO really does a good job with the graphics. The brakes work well. I've had no issues with them, except the type of brake pads that CFMOTO chooses to use are very squeaky and make a grindy sound at low speeds when they get dirty, which is most of the time. When it comes time to replace them, I'm definitely going to go with something from the aftermarket, but I can honestly say I've had no issues with the brakes even if they've been a bit noisy. Just to avoid any confusion, this is my friend Brad's machine. He has that large box on the back. Mine just has a rack over the box. So what's actually broken? My turn signal lever didn't work. That was replaced under warranty. My right side mirror would spin around, but I took it to the dealer. I thought they were going to have to replace it. They didn't. They were able to fix it, and it works fine now. My door handle on the driver's side froze one time when I was out ATVing, and it was very cold. I managed to get into the passenger side, started the machine. Once it warmed up, it was fine. I've since sprayed some lubricant inside where the cable goes that freezes, and I haven't had an issue since. I did have a windshield leak at the top. Water would come in, especially when I washed it with a pressure washer or even just a hose. I took it to the dealer, told them about it. They put in some extra weather stripping at the top, and it's been great. Except the only thing is I still get a bit of dust in at the lower left and lower right sections of the windshield, but I've put in a little bit of foam in behind there, and it seems to do the trick. Not long before I started putting this video together, I took my machine to the dealer for fluid changes, and they called me to let me know they noticed a bad rear axle and ordered a replacement. The part took a few weeks to come in, and it was covered under warranty. I left the machine with them, and when they went to start it, the battery was completely dead, so I had to buy a new one for $140 as the battery is not covered under warranty. So in the last 3,000 kilometers, I paid an extra $140 plus tax for a battery, and that's pretty much it. Well, except for all the accessories, but that's a video for another day. And that's it. Mostly very minor things, and the dealer has always taken good care of me. And that reminds me, I have to take a minute to mention the dealer I bought my Highland from, CanMac Power Sports in Elmsdale, Nova Scotia. They have a good team of people working there, and I can honestly say they've treated me very well. As far as maintenance is concerned, I took it to the dealer a few times to change the oil, the transmission fluid, the differential fluids, and the grease fittings. I haven't done my own maintenance yet, but I've watched a few videos online and it looks pretty straightforward. The dealer has also inspected my belt each time it's been in for service and they said it appears fine. Recently, I bought a HunterWorks belt for the machine and I had the dealer put it on when I just had it in for service. I'm going to use the original belt as a spare. Is there anything I would change? Actually, instead of changing the Highland, I'd almost rather see CFMOTO introduce a second trail-oriented trim level. They could keep the current Highland exactly as it is, then offer something like a Highland Trail. It could come with a slight lift, more adjustable shocks, maybe 30 or 32-inch tires from the factory. They could even simplify it a bit by using a manual windshield, a manual dump box, and a traditional shift lever. I think there'd be a lot of people interested in a machine like that. As for the HVAC system, I wish the fan offered a few more speed settings. I'd also like more precise temperature control, along with the ability to completely shut off the airflow to the floor vents. None of those things would stop me from buying another Highland. They're simply the kinds of refinements I'd like to see CFMOTO make in the next generation. Well, shoot. Before I finish this video, I just found out about some of the changes CFMOTO made to the 2027 Highland. There are now 5 fan speeds, and there's more control with the temperature, the 2 things I just mentioned. There's also some new colors and some other changes. You know I'm going to do a video to cover all those changes, so stay tuned. Now, back to my review. The biggest surprise for me wasn't the engine or even the other features. It was how refined the machine feels. After driving and owning Polaris and Can-Am over the years, I honestly didn't expect the CFMOTO to feel this well put together. One of the reasons I make these long-term reviews is because when I was shopping, I found lots of first drive videos, people driving them for a few hours, or quick overviews. But very few owners came back 6 months or a year later to tell people how the machine actually held up. So, after 3,000 kilometers or 1,800 miles, would I buy another U10 Pro Highland? Yes, without hesitation. Not because it's perfect, but because it's been reliable, comfortable, capable, and it offers incredible value. If someone stole this machine on me and I got a check from the insurance company, I'd order another one. Over the last year, this machine has taken me through some incredible places across Newfoundland and Ontario and through Nova Scotia. In 3,000 kilometers from now, if my opinion changes, I'll be the first person to let you know. If you have any questions about the Highland, leave them below. I will do my best to get back to everybody. Thanks for watching. See you on the next adventure.